Hi, everybody. This is Lauren Baker, founder of Search Engine Journal. Welcome to today's SEJ webinar. Today, we're going to be talking about 5 cost-efficient ways to get higher return on paid media. And as we all know, paid media spend may be going up. So this is very topical stuff for the moment right now. With us today, we have Tucker Stofers, the Senior Director of Growth Marketing from Divvy. Hey, Tucker, how's it going?
Hey, Lauren, good to see you.
It's great to have you here. So, just to let everyone know, today's webinar slides, information are all going to be made available to registrants and participants that have shown up. So I'm glad that everyone is showing up. I do see there's a couple of chats about a lot not having volume. Oh, okay. Everyone had to turn the volume on. So if you look in the upper right, you'll see that the volume may be defaulted as muted. Go ahead and hit that unmute button, just like you would on an Instagram reel. Yeah, make sure you have it from there. So perfect. So Tucker's going to be presenting on 5 cost-efficient ways to get higher return on paid media for about 30 to 40 minutes or so. And then we're going to be doing a Q&A session. During Tucker's presentation, he's going to be running 3 different polls. So we always ask our participants to make sure to participate in all the polls. Not does it give us more information about you and what you're doing at your company, but can also help Tucker kind of craft his presentation accordingly, and we can address some of those challenges, issues, or things that are occurring to the bulk of our audience during our Q&A session as well. And just as a reminder, if you look at the handouts area within this webinar panel, you'll see that there's 2 PDFs that you can go ahead and download with more information about today's topic points. So again, any questions you have during the presentation, go ahead and ask them within the Q&A box. We're going to pick those questions and go through them during Q&A. And just to get things started, as you see, there's a lot of emojis at the bottom. So go ahead, hit a smiley face, celebratory confetti, laugh out loud, heart, hands up in the air, raise the roof, whatever it may be, and let everyone know in the chat box where you're coming in from. So if you're coming in from Utah, California, Florida, New York, Europe, Asia, wherever it may be, just let us all know. It gets Tucker really excited for his presentation today. And then now, Tucker, I'm going to hand things off officially to you.
I really appreciate it. I'm loving seeing all the emojis pop up. Everybody's streaming in here. I'm coming at you from the Divvy offices here in Salt Lake City, Utah. So we are just, 20, 30 minutes away from some of the greatest snow on earth here. So Utah's been a busy season with a lot of snow, a lot of skiers, people coming in for the Sundance Film Festival this year. It's been a crazy year. But super excited to have y'all joining me today. My background is a little bit of everything, to be honest. So I have been both in-house at places like Divvy, which is a part of Bill.com, and I've been in small agencies, medium agencies, probably not large agencies, but run the gamut of B2B, D2C, and a little bit of everything. So I'm hoping that I can come at you with some different perspectives today, and especially as we get into the Q&A, to be able to share some of that experience with you. But as I went through my slides earlier, I can see it's a little skewed B2B, which is where my mind is a lot these days. So don't be afraid to nudge me and make sure we're staying super relevant to all of you. So today, what we want to talk about, of course, is getting higher return on your paid media, being cost efficient. As I started putting together slides, I've been seeing this meme over here on the right all over the place. When you don't know who to blame in marketing, is it the channel? Is it the marketer? And I wanted to come in and kind of split the difference in today's presentation. So there are a lot of great resources out there for channel-specific optimization, account structure, bid strategy, things like that. I'm not getting into that today. There are a lot of really fun go-to-market strategies and really high-level product marketing strategies, positioning content out there. Not getting into that as much. I'm kind of splitting the middle, and I want to talk to you about, how we can get the most out of the traffic, and how any marketer on the team, regardless of if you're the individual inside of a channel pulling levers, or you're the leader of a marketing organization, and anywhere in between, how anyone can influence getting a higher return on your paid media and those strategies. So we'll be talking about thinking beyond Facebook, looking at tier 2 strategies, tier 2 platforms out there, and then just exploiting some specific placements and opportunities. I think there's a lot of hooks that are, just basics, and kind of getting back to those basics and putting some specific tactical strategies with some specific examples is what I'm hoping to accomplish with all of you today. So first things first, setting the stage with one of those polls that Lauren was mentioning. I would love to get just a quick view, so I know who I'm talking to, on if you're in-house B2B, in-house direct to consumer, agency, a little bit of both. I've done every one of these roles here. Both can be super fun. Like I said, currently in-house executing B2B for Bill.com. Give you just a second to drop some notes in there.
And I've gone ahead and launched the poll. We see that quite a bit of you have already voted. We really want to get all of you voting, and this is really simple to do. So again, what best describes your marketing role? In-house B2B, in-house D2C, agency B2B, agency D2C, or agency both. So I see we have about 72 plus responses. Let's go ahead and do a countdown. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Let's let everyone respond. And I'm going to go ahead and close a poll. And here are the responses, Tucker. So 29% are in-house B2B. Tied between in-house D2C and then agency that's focusing on B2B and D2C is 27%. So the majority in-house B2B, and then in-house D2C, and then agency focusing on everything are tied at 27%. And we have 9% agency B2B and 7% agency D2C. So it sounds like most of our agency folks on here do a little bit of both, but in-house B2B outweighs in-house D2C.
Very cool. Good mix of everything. Okay, I'm going to try, no promises, try and make sure I'm speaking to you guys, folks here right. I appreciate you jumping in and taking the poll there. So again, setting the stage, now that we know the focus is the right traffic, not necessarily always the most traffic. And tip number 1 is going to be let your ad copy exclude the wrong audience for you. So again, I said I'm an example guy. I love having a lot of examples in here, and that means visuals to me. When I'm on a webinar, I'm a visual learner. Here I have what I think are 2 excellent examples of people using their ad copy to make sure the right people are looking at their ads, and just as importantly, the wrong people just keep scrolling. So on the left, we've got Keep, who does a great job. Easier tax season, easy follow-up, Keep for accountants. It tells me exactly who this ad is for, exactly what their service is doing to help. Not messing around with trying to overcomplicate it. And again, just being direct right on the spot. This is for accountants. If that's you, come on in. On the right, I've got PlayPlay. I think they did an excellent job with this one as well. It's a little bit different. It definitely caught me and stopped my scroll when I was just in one of those endless scrolls. You are a marketing manager, not a video editor, and that's okay. Try it for free. With so few words, they did a beautiful job of excluding anybody but marketing managers here. You see that? You are a marketing manager. It draws me in, not a video editor. I already know just from that quip that they're going to help me solve that pain point. They're going to help me not have to edit my own videos. And so without needing a ton of copy, it's got me intrigued and pulling me in. So I thought these were 2 awesome examples. How can you use messaging, use those words to do a lot of heavy lifting to support your targeting? Another example here, this one's actually from Divi. This is one that our team put together, custom tailoring that messaging to the audience. So if you can serve and service a number of different verticals, a number of different personas, how do you take the same product, take the same core idea, and target that to different folks? So this one I think is actually one of the handouts you can download. Check it out as an example. But we've got a cashback card that's designed specifically for advertisers and specifically on getting higher rates of cashback on ad spend. So your media spend, Facebook, Google, LinkedIn, whatever you're up to. Our two big personas there are on the left, our finance department. It's all about cashback. How much money is coming back to the bottom line? How is that impacting the net revenue of the business? Like why finance likes Divvy, being super direct with the messaging and the value props for that audience. On the right, why marketers like Divvy. And we're hitting some different things. Some of that marketing persona may not care as much about exactly how much cash back is coming in compared to some of the other methods that they're using to pay, but they might love the controls that it gives them. They might love the protection that it gives them. And so we want to make sure that we're messaging a little bit differently to different audiences. So this was another example, had close to my heart. My team worked closely on these. And then exclusionary messaging isn't just for social. You know, I didn't want to have all of my examples be social media specific, right? We've got those big, beautiful visuals. We're scroll stopping with messaging, but it is just as important, and the SEM folks on here are probably going to argue even more important to do this on the search side of things. So I managed some paid search accounts for a large enterprise online survey provider. And so this example is close to my heart, coming from personal experience, my own little case study, if you will. Online surveys can mean a lot of things. So as we look at this and we look at the auto suggest from Google, online surveys for money, for make money, free, that pay well, that pay through mobile money, that pay cash. Like there's clearly an intent here that Google thinks it's going to serve up some responses to someone who is looking to take surveys and make money. And we saw that a lot with our search ads. But there are a lot of companies out there who are looking for enterprise buyers, who are B2B and need to make sure that they're excluding the audiences. So here's one, Survey Junkie. Take surveys, get paid. We paid out over 25 million. That probably ties pretty closely to what Google was expecting based on those auto suggest results. But what I was trying to sell was an enterprise solution for businesses. And so I needed to make sure I was mitigating as many clicks as I could from those consumers who are just looking to take surveys and make money. So I grabbed a couple of screenshots from the SERP today. SurveyMonkey Enterprise, features built for businesses. Very specific, clearly identifying who their audience is in that headline. Second one down here, industry-leading survey software, flexible plans for individuals and teams. Starting to build the perception of, hey, this is a business solution. So as you can imagine, if you're getting a lot of these clicks, online surveys to earn money or for gift cards, and you're trying to sell an enterprise survey solution, those clicks, that traffic is not converting into revenue, into pipeline for you and your team. So making sure that you're using strong wording, being very clear, very direct, is what I wanted you to take away here from tip number one. So building on that, obviously we've talked images and we've talked about text in images, but actually using visual cues for our audience is another example, another tip that I wanted to give you here today. So this image here on the right represents a campaign that, again, our team here internally at Divvy ran to pest control owners and to pest control field agents. So we did a lot to try and map the imaging and the messaging to that persona. So one, I think the obvious thing is we've got some red ants climbing all over stacks of cash. Rogue spending, eating away your profits. Divvy's got you covered. Rogue spending is eating away your profits. Divvy's got you covered. So the visual and the messaging ties together really nicely. And then we actually put a lot of energy into finding, okay, what's the right giveaway that goes with this? What's the offer that goes with this audience? And that was this Yeti cooler. It's kind of a lunch pail-esque cooler that pulls it all together. So we really got some positive feedback from our audience. These guys are piling in their trucks every day, going out to job sites. We've got owners who are managing their teams and they see this rogue spending. They know it's hurting their bottom line. So they've got to figure out how to get with their team and get everything dialed in. So we tried to do everything we could with the visual cues in this example to run with that. And actually, versus getting into a ton of examples on visual cues, kind of took this to the next spot of the best of both worlds. And these are two ads that I snagged from my feed that I think did a great job bringing messaging, targeting, and visualizations all together to stop the scroll and really tell a story to me in my feeds. So on the right, we've got BrightHire. This is clearly an ABM strategy. They're reaching out. They're trying to get my business at Divvy. They've got our website there. You can see in the ad copy, they're calling out, "Hey, Divvy." And so everything visually about this to me screams like, hey, this is for me. I need to be looking at this. Elevate hiring at Divvy with BrightHire. Everything. I see it. I want to play this video. It's everything directed just towards me. Primer did a great job in this example here on the right as well. They're clearly presenting to me a targeting solution. This ad will only be shown to senior marketers at a specific number of companies with a specific number of employees in the United States who are using 6 Sense. Like you go down this list, size, series, B through G, like everything on this list is perfectly tailored to me. And they've got that visual of the emoji, which you've probably gathered that I'm a fan of. They've got that emoji of the target right on target. Everything about this screams like, hey, this is intended for you. And I'm putting my money where my mouth is, showing you that our targeting can do its job because I'm doing it to you. So I thought these were two awesome examples. I think really good things that you can take and implement in your own messaging. Hey, whoever you're targeting, if you're an enterprise company and you're targeting marketing folks or finance professionals like I am, calling them out right in the ad, getting their attention. That same thing translates to direct consumer. You're calling out interests, you're calling out anything you can to make sure that they know that they're the intended audience for your message. So love some of these examples. People out there in the world doing awesome stuff in their marketing and in their advertising. So tip number 3, thinking outside the box. Opportunity lies beyond Google and Facebook. A lot of you know that, a lot of you get it. But I see over and over in my personal experience in my consulting, sometimes even though you know it's out there, you forget to go get it. So there are a lot of placement or platforms that I call tier 2 platforms. Other people call them different things. Secondary, tertiary platforms outside of the big 800-pound gorillas, right? Amazon, it's hard to consider them second tier in anything, but Amazon's DSP is growing like crazy. Walmart's is growing like crazy. So if you're in direct consumer, they have so much data, so much intelligence about buying habits, intents, interests, and a ton of available inventory, since those are newer DSPs that are still getting their footing in the market. They're growing by leaps and bounds every quarter. Every time I see them come out with earnings, we're growing billions in revenue every single quarter in the Amazon and Walmart buckets, which is just incredible. Some of my favorites, getting into the next section here, Quora, Reddit, Pinterest, very targeted, very niche, unique ways to approach your audience. We're going to actually dive deeper into a couple examples there, as well as programmatic. It's not as scary as it used to be. That may just be me, but for a while, programmatic was terrifying because I didn't know what it meant. Aren't these just display banners? What are we talking about? But love where it's at today, and I think there's a ton of opportunity. So how do we get practical with that? We'll talk about after this poll, because I'm super curious. How many paid advertising platforms are you currently using in your paid media mix? Let's see, Lauren, you
And
launching for me again?
yes, and we're launching. So,
Love it.
how many paid advertising platforms are you using currently in your media mix? 1 to 2, 2 to 4, or over 4? If everybody could just go ahead and vote right now, we'll have an idea. I know I'm using quite a bit, even without a large media mix at all. I've seen that platforms left and right.
Yeah, same here. I like that I get to take the polls too. Really seeing my
cool.
own results here.
But I'm also pretty sure that I have more SEO platforms than I do paid media platforms. I have just about every other SEO tool under the sun. It's almost time to go into tool purging season. Okay, we have 78 responses. Let's give everyone a chance to chime in. We're up in the 80s. Let's shoot for the 90s. So 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. All right, Tucker, I'm going to close the poll. And let's see what we have. 48% have 1 to 2 paid advertising platforms. 36%, 2 to 4. And then 16% over 4. So the majority 1 to 2. Not far behind is 2 to 4. And not too many are above 4 on that side.
Super interesting. So hopefully means some opportunity out there for our audience. So one of my favorites that if you're not using, hopefully Quora sees this and gets excited, but not here to represent them by any means. One of my favorites though is Quora, which if you're not familiar is kind of a question and answer social network. It's got some level of intent in there, some level of community, and it's really fun to be both a part of and an advertiser in. One group that I think is absolutely killing it in the Quora game right now is WordTune. We can see they're kind of rolled up sponsored answer on the left here. What are the ChatGPT alternatives? This is executed so well, done timely. ChatGPT is one of the hottest, if not the hottest, like topics on the internet in the world right now. So they're coming in here and they're giving you a super relevant answer that also ties to what you're looking for and kind of tying to that interest with ChatGPT and what's going on in the world right now. I've unfurled an example from the Divi side here again. So you can see a few of the things that I really like about Quora. One, what's the best expense management tool for businesses? So I was able to go to Quora, find this question that somebody out there in the wild had already asked, and come in and give my best answer. So I actually worked really closely with our product marketing team to develop an answer that, regardless of if they're interested in Divi, regardless if they're looking for a paid solution, helped them identify what the best expense management tool for their business would be. So you can see over on the right, I've expanded this all out so you can see the entire answer. This is one ad. I've got several paragraphs of information, hopefully doing my best job to answer their question. But I think it's also great because I've got 3 different visuals that I've brought in representing our product. You can see the top image is somebody holding it in the hand, which is a great visual cue for B2B and D2C. If people see the product in the hand, the product being used, not necessarily a shot of somebody holding the product, but actually in the hand, they can imagine themselves using that product. But I've got 3 images here. I've also got 3 text link CTAs that I've placed throughout the response, that sponsored answer. So this is a super unique ad format. You don't get this elsewhere. And you can pretty much guarantee if somebody's clicking through one of those ads, coming to your landing page, coming to your site to learn more, that they know what they're coming looking for, and they have some level of intent, definitely higher than a lot of ad formats out there. So love Quora, huge opportunity. It's not the most scalable ad platform out there, and kind of have to see if it ties into your audience and who you're trying to speak to. But if your audience is there, absolutely love this one. Next here, programmatic. What I wanted to call out is one, the barriers to entry I don't think are what they used to be. So I use a couple of platforms that are Trade Desk variants that have no minimums, that have no barriers to entry. You can come in, you can set up a $500 test if you want to, and roll out across a number of different placements. So the cool thing about programmatic is you can come in with banner ads, you can come in with audio clips, you can come in with video, you can come in with a number of different formats and use the same targeting across both and capitalize on the inventory that's out there and that's available. But I think the true power is that consistency and the detailed level of targeting that you're able to get inside of a programmatic platform. So here, I just took a quick screenshot looking at some segments. All I did was typed in credit into this audience search bar for third-party and CRM data. And we can see right out of the gate, Dun & Bradstreet, TransUnion, Axiom, some of the biggest credit data providers in the world. We've got solutions available right here for audiences that I can leverage in my advertising. So we look at that first one, Dun & Bradstreet, B2B predictive analytics, financial services with purchase intent, online interest in business credit cards. As a company that's selling business credit cards, I mean, that sounds pretty good. So I love the level of granularity that you can get into here and finding your audience. It's not quite the set it and forget it or the black box that you get a lot with Meta and some of the larger platforms where they do an amazing job finding your audience for you. And sometimes less is more with targeting. But it does give you a great opportunity to be in control of your own destiny to an extent. Gives you a great opportunity to be very precise with your message all the way through, right? So kind of threading through what we've talked about so far, having our visual, having our message, having our targeting all tied together and provide a seamless experience is going to help us be as effective as possible in converting those, finding the people with the right intent, and making the most out of our paid media. Tip number 4, making the platforms work harder for you. So we've talked about, okay, making sure you're getting into platforms, capitalizing on some of their unique functionality. But let's talk about some unique inventory here as well. Because every platform has function and features that help you get the most from your ads. This is one of my favorites in recent time. So we can see here 3 ads. I took all of these from my cell phone, just a screenshot, boom, made sure that they're the same width on this slide. And these are all LinkedIn ads. Luna from Unity on the left, we've got G2 in the center, and we've got metadata in the right. So these are all in-feed ad opportunities, and we can see that without talking about how many words, what's the story, what's the message that they're trying to tell, without even getting into that, we can see that metadata has taken advantage of this ad placement way more than the other 2 here for us. So Luna is the very standard kind of 1.91 to 1 traditional social in-feed ad, especially desktop, what you would expect to see. G2 did a great job moving to the 1-to-1, which I would say is probably the top performing or the most common, at least, ad ratio that I'm seeing in my experience. And they've almost doubled the available real estate. So aside from what they're saying, they're getting twice as much space in that feed when someone's coming through, when their audience is coming through. They've got twice as much space to tell their story than Luna does here on the right. And then metadata just blowing it all out of the water. I couldn't even fit the whole ad in one screenshot. I've got a brand new iPhone with the max screen, couldn't get the whole thing in. And they're taking advantage of this kind of interstitial feeling ad placement from LinkedIn. And they actually did a very cool job of sharing some data on this. And so shout out to Metadata for putting out great work, and shout out for sharing and building in public as you go. So you can see they've got a post here that is a comparison of the vertical takeover that we're talking about and just a 1-to-1 square image ad. And they saw their average CPL decrease by 36% going with the larger ad, 62% lower CPLs, average cost per op decreasing by 60%, and the 89% decrease on the CO ops. So we look at this and, taking more space, taking more mind share from your prospects, giving yourself more time to capture their attention, it's panning out in the numbers and in the data. So one thing to think about, it's an easy optimization. You're not changing your entire strategy. You're not changing targeting. You don't have to go restructure campaigns. Oftentimes it's just, hey, am I taking the most advantage of this placement that the platform is letting me? And if it was just as easy as uploading a bigger image and seeing your cost per lead drop by 62%, or your cost per op dropping by potentially even more than that, like, feels like a huge opportunity with very little investment, which is awesome. This one I love, don't sleep on obscure placements. So you may be familiar with these, you may not be. LinkedIn, we all know and love on the B2B side, which is a lot of us here today, best targeting out there for B2B in my book. A lot of us probably running in-feed ads. But what I find time and time again is not a lot of people are running these LinkedIn text ads, which are this right rail placement. We can see here next to our in-feed ClickUp posts, we've got the highlighted text ads on the right. These things are mind-boggling to me because they get hardly any clicks. If we look at the average click-through rate, you're reading that right, 0.025%. So that's one click for every 4,000 impressions. And then you're paying $3 to $5 cost per clicks. But you're also able to have 4,000 impressions for that $3 to $5, which, if you're doing some math and you're thinking of branding, you're thinking of your ABM campaigns, you're thinking of just being in front of your prospects, that's incredible. I don't want to say it's basically free, but it's basically free. Always being in front of people, which is awesome. We can see B2 Linked, which, if you are in the B2B space, you're probably familiar with AJ Wilcox and everything that he does to ensure success for his B2B customers. He's running his own company's ads there in the right rail, taking advantage of this unique placement and this unique opportunity. A lot of folks just shut them down because they don't drive a lot of clicks. They don't drive a lot of value in that sense. So another one, not to sleep on. These will go a little more rapid fire, just taking time to understand the placement. These are a few story ad examples that I had to share. On the left, we've got what is clearly like a product feed ad that is just set to run, get the inventory, and optimize as much as possible. Compared to Diamondback Covers, which is taking advantage of that full story unit placement. If you're picking how you want your brand represented, is it going to be your one rail right there, or is it something a little more in your face? Very similar situation on the right. You can see refrigeration units that are safe, portable, and 100% green. Could be the best message for your audience. But look at all of that missed opportunity for telling your story or giving a strong visual to your brand. When we look at the far right example here, strawberry, mango, green apple, I can practically taste that licorice. It looks so good, vibrant colors, nice shine there. Makes me want to pick up an order right now. We also can see they've done a couple of awesome things with these might be too delicious. Like, they're throwing some social proof in there. They're throwing some star ratings in there because they've just got that extra space. You could easily take some social proof, some additional visuals, some different messaging, and plug it into all the white space that we're seeing on the left examples here in these ads. And then last but not least in this series, LinkedIn conversation ads, another one that I think a lot of people sleep on because it's not as much volume, doesn't provide as much opportunity for scale, but you can do so much to qualify those clicks coming through to your site, to your landing pages. In these LinkedIn conversation ads. Similar to our old LinkedIn messaging ads, you're able to take a lot more time, a lot more space, tell your story. But with conversation ads, you can see here on the right, get a demo and tell me more. If they click tell me more, I'm going to get a second shot to come at them with some different positions, some different value points, some different data to get them to click through to my site. So very cool. When you're driving traffic from that, you can do a great job doing some qualification, using your exclusionary messaging in that to get the right clicks to your website. One of my favorite tips with these as well is they feel personal. They're in your inbox in LinkedIn. So take advantage of that. Make it a personal ad. Invite them to join a webinar. Invite them to speak with someone. Make it feel personal. You can even do as much as using macros and things like that to insert dynamic variables like their title, their name, their company, things like that. My advice is be careful with that, because sometimes people have some nuances in there that make it so it's tricky to flow in your content. It doesn't always feel right. It feels a little more forced. But if you dial in your targeting the right way, you can write a more generic message that feels incredibly personal. So absolutely love our LinkedIn conversation ads here. Last tip, this one is pretty quick as well, prioritizing internal marketing. I kind of felt like I was cheating a little bit with this one because it's not as much paid media, but it is a great cost-effective way to get your message out into the wild in the same places, to the same audiences, on the same platforms, right? So when we're talking about internal marketing, we're talking about helping your team tell your story. I've got a couple examples here, but my main takeaways are: let the company know what you're doing so that they can market what you're selling. Make sure that you're keeping your team excited so they're telling people. Most of us have a hard time saying word of mouth advertising is not one of the best out there. Communities and learning from people you trust is the gold standard if you can make it happen at scale. This is a really tricky one to make happen at scale. So how do we do this? Give marketing the spotlight every week, stay in front of them, I think is a big one. Share the why, the how, what's in it for them, I think is a big one. And then just give them some license to run. Some things that I do. One, I take a multimedia approach. Usually when I'm updating the sales team, the product team, the leadership team, what we're doing, I'm putting together a Slack or a Teams note. I'm recording a video on Loom, sharing my thoughts so that I can tell my story and interpret the data the way I want to. And then I'm joining a lot of meetings when I have the opportunity and the time to do so, to get in there and drive home the good work that the marketing team here at Bill is doing. I think leading by example is another great way. Here I've got an example from our SVP of Revenue, Sterling Snow. He does an awesome job highlighting customers, highlighting product features. And if any of you are doing this with some of your leadership versus your brand pages on social media, you probably find, if you're anything like me, and almost every experience I've ever had, that the individual leaders of the company, their profiles are going to get a lot more engagement. They're going to get a lot more reach and a lot more response than your brand pages until you reach a certain point. So empowering people to lead by example, you taking on the posting. If you want to connect with me and follow me on LinkedIn, I try to post. It's not as much as I should, but I'm trying to be the best leader by example that I can be. And just staying out there, showing them that they can do it too, highlighting the benefits to your employees about building their personal brand, how it can help the company, how it can help drive revenue and make essentially a rising tide raise all ships inside the organization. So, and of course, help recruiting out. People see how great it is to work at your company, how fun your team is, and they can see those opportunities in front of them. I think that all comes together as a tangential paid media tip that does make everything you're doing a little bit more effective. My last one, again, warning, something resembling a pitch ahead. This is a bonus tip. As an advertiser, I think it's a real tip, but I am here from Divi. Want to show you a little bit, I'll keep it brief, I promise, about how Divi can make your life easier as an advertiser as well. So the first thing I'm going to talk about is going to be virtual cards, how our product implements virtual cards and how that does help you as an advertiser. So the first question, the first poll here is, and it's actually the only poll here, that made it sound like there were going to be a lot more, but do you use virtual cards at your company? I think would be the intent here. Yes or no? You may not know what a virtual card is. I didn't for a long time. And that's not embarrassing.
What exactly is a virtual card?
So if you go back here, one slide, I actually think this is good visualization. So a virtual card, without having to use a physical card, you can create on Divvy and other platforms out there a card number, expiration card number, your name on the card, everything you need to pay a vendor like Google or Facebook or whoever else it may be without needing a physical card to it. And you can set limits to that card. So one of my favorite use cases is new vendors. Hey, we're going to do a $5,000 test with this new vendor. I don't know them from anybody. So I'm going to set this card so that it can't charge 1 penny over $5,000. Then they can charge it. They can go out there and I never have to worry about that card number getting out there again, because as soon as it's done, as soon as that transaction's over, I can just shut down the card, which is very cool functionality. I think when you're doing a lot of testing, especially with new vendors, but it's just a digital card. You don't have to swipe. You don't have to physically put it in. And you can do a lot of cool controls that you can't do with a physical card, at least historically.
Very cool. And since we've been going over that, we've seen quite a bit of responses coming in. So I'm going to go ahead and close the poll.
Awesome.
Let's see here. So 87% of current attendees today they do not use virtual cards, and only 13% do. 87 to 13. Quite a bit of difference there.
Well, I'll give you the quick bullet points on why you may want to think about it. Again, new vendors and marketing tests are fun. SaaS subscriptions are great. I can put a card, set it aside for whatever it may be, whatever tool I may be using, and just set that card so it charges every month. I never have any problems. Budgets with expiration dates, projects with limited spend to help you track your budgets are really nice. Like, hey, I'm going to set up a card. I know I've got $10,000 a month from X client that I can use however I want. I'm going to set up one card, and then I know I'm never going a penny over for my agency client. I never have to have the hard conversation of, hey, Lauren, I spent 20% more than you told me I could, but I think the results are really good. So hopefully you're happy with me. You don't have to worry about that at all, which is great. The other one that I really like that's not up here is if you've been doing digital advertising for a long time, like I have, there's nothing more terrifying than when you get an ad spend decline on one of your platforms. Say we look at the bottom here, say you're on Facebook, Google, and Microsoft, you get an ad spend decline on Facebook. Hey, your ads are shut down, your card didn't go through. And you're thinking, oh no, I've now got a waterfall. Every single platform that I've got, I'm going to have to go through, I'm going to have to update the cards, I'm going to have to find out what's going on. With this, I set up a card for every single platform. So if for some reason a card has a decline, just having a bad day, or if a card gets compromised, you can shut that one card down. Doesn't impact your other platforms. Spin up a new virtual card in seconds and be back up and running in no time. So I think virtual cards are a delight for advertisers. Like I mentioned, we also do special cash back for advertisers on Divvy. It's worth checking out if you run into any of these problems. We've got a fun guide you can download from the handouts and run with it. So, again, that is 2.25% cash back on Divvy when you're prepaying. It's very cool. Makes your ad spend go further. We're even throwing in here a little offer for anybody who wants to take advantage of it. Check it out. 92% of users say it was easy to get started with Divvy. See for yourself, get $92 Amazon gift card when you sign up. So you can scan this, go to getdivvy.com/92 and get a demo. We'll show you how it can make your life a little bit easier, make you some cash back if you want. Pitch over. Let's get into some Q&A.
Awesome. Let's get into it. And thank you for utilizing a QR code there.
Right? The tech exists. Why not leverage it? They're my favorite.
I know. 20-year-old technology suddenly went through the roof a couple of years ago.
It's cool again.
Yeah. It's cool again. So I'm going to go ahead and start with the questions. We had quite a bit come in. And let's see. Let me make sure I'm on the right area here. A question about Reddit. So awesome. How effective has Reddit been for you in the B2B space? Lance, who wrote the question, markets accounts receivable software and has been thinking about possibly targeting different AR, accounting, whatever oriented, or maybe business owner oriented Reddit groups to run ads. Any questions? Any thoughts on that front?
Oh man, Lance, I love that question. For me, Reddit is the pinnacle of a platform that says if you don't understand the platform or your audience isn't there, stay away from it. But I'm guessing based on the question, you probably look at Reddit and use Reddit yourself. Um, and that means that you also probably recognize that that community is not super tolerant to getting hit hard with ads. They're there to have the community element and ask their questions and get in there. If you or someone on your team can write content that fits into the platform and feel native, I think it's a fantastic one. To me, the more niche you can be in some of those subreddits, the better you can see results in there. Remember, value first to that audience above all else. Don't just get in there and start throwing your pitch around everywhere and throwing offers that aren't relevant to the group out there. But if you can tie it in, and if you're hitting those business owner groups, like, you can really be providing value. I've personally seen it work well. Just keep it relevant. I would say with Reddit in particular, above any other platform, be extra diligent about making sure you're fitting in with the community and kind of following those unofficial community guidelines, if you will, and you'll be just fine. High quality, not necessarily as much scale, but I think you'll do great.
Speaking of touchy ad platforms, I think Quora was on one of your slides. Correct me if I'm wrong. Do you have any specific similar tips to advertising to that audience?
Very, very similar tip. I don't think that audience is as touchy, and I think you can do really well with more of just the in-feed sponsored ads, similar to what you would on Facebook or LinkedIn. Those can do well there as well. Quora is a fun mix of an intent platform and a social platform to me, because you can see specific questions that people are asking, whether that's a business owner saying, hey, how do I get a better control on employee spending? How do I start generating leads? How do I XYZ? They can be asking those types of questions. Or you can be on the consumer side of that and say, hey, my blender is awesome, but it gets food residue stuck in there every time. Like, how do I clean that out? And you can come in that, and as long as you're coming in value first, hey, I love just throwing a little bit of soap and water in my blender after I'm done running it and rinsing it out. But my fill in the blank blender brand does an awesome job of staying clean, just fitting into the environment. Like, they're very social places, Quora, Reddit in particular, on these two questions. As long as you're bringing the value in first, I don't think people ever mind getting an offer or a pitch in there as well, if it helps them solve their problem.
That blender answer sounds very familiar, by the way.
Inspiration, Lauren. Inspiration.
Yeah. So, yes, it's good to know. So you can actually craft your ad answer in Quora based upon each question. That's really
correct.
Cool. That's really
very cool.
That's really cool. You had asked about ad platforms or programmatic ad platforms that people are using. What are some of your favorites?
Yeah, that's a great question. So I had mentioned that the Trade Desk is kind of a big one, but I use some subvariants. One of my favorites right now is a platform called StackAdapt. It gets me the inventory across any ad format that I want. Again, no minimums, super easy to work with, great customer success team on that front. And it really allows me to spin that up when I need it, when I want that air cover, when I've got a big campaign that's going broad, or if I see some pockets that are working really well on kind of a performance marketing basis, I can keep those running and I can scale it up or down almost to the ends of the earth because of how much inventory those programmatic platforms get out there.
Very cool. Very cool. And of course, we had a ChatGPT question come up because now is the time. Do you see any potential uses any potential uses of new AI platforms such as ChatGPT in managing all these different copy styles, or something that could become an opportunity to market? And if so, how so?
Yeah. To me, this ties back, when I think of this question, it ties back to the ever looming question of like, are the robots coming to take our jobs that we've been dealing with in paid media forever? At first it's automated bidding platforms, and then it's Google having the black boxes and Facebook having the black boxes. I never think any of these things are going to replace us. I don't think they can, but I think they make us better and can make us faster and more nimble. So my team and I have been using ChatGPT for a lot of like seed based things. If you do a lot of writing, you know that sometimes the most terrifying thing out there is the blank page. And you sit there and you say, oh man, where do I even get started? But going to someplace like ChatGPT and getting some ideas flowing when you don't have someone that you can sit across the table and bounce ideas off of is an awesome place to start. From what I've seen in my experience, like it's hardly ever, I almost want to say never, like ready for showtime. Like I would never take anything from ChatGPT and put it straight into an ad, an email, heaven forbid, like a blog post where you're trying to do quality content and organic focus with SEO. Like I would never take anything that far, I don't think. But it's ready to give a framework to a person, which I think is great, help get some ideas going. There are a lot of tools that are specializing out there as well. So a cool one, who's another local Utah company to me, Jasper AI, if you haven't run into them, they actually have built a layer on top of a ChatGPT-esque system that helps specifically with blog posts, helps specifically with ad copy, trying to add a little user interface there to make it a lot easier to work with. They've got a Chrome extension, so you can be asking it questions and throwing in answers out there. So I think there are a lot of resources available to us out there that can make life way easier, help get ideas going. But from every example I've ever seen, they're far from showtime when it comes to replacing a qualified marketer. And I'm seeing sites popping up left and right, similar to plagiarism sites. If you've been, checking your content or checking other content against a plagiarism for a while in the SEO game, there are now sites out there that say, was this written by chat? Was this written by ChatGPT? Was this written by AI? And they're scary good at figuring it out. And that means if there are third parties that are scary good at figuring it out, Google is great at figuring it out already. Like you're not gonna trick the Google team.
Yeah, I've seen some of the graphs as well as ChatGPT powered sites or powered content that were doing pretty good, and then boom, the cliff, right? So pretty crazy how that works. Final question is there a limit to the amount of virtual cards a company can get, especially through a solution or a provider like Divi?
Yeah, that's a great question. There's a limit. I haven't found it yet. With us, one thing that's really nice, we're powered by Visa. And so you can literally spin up Visa cards as fast as you need to. So if I'm sitting launching 10 new platforms, I can spin up 10 new virtual cards right there. I think our official messaging is you can have as many as you need. So keep that in mind if we're talking Divi specifically. But I like to get granular. That's my nature. I was a single keyword ad group guy back in the day. Like I like to get granular. So I like having a virtual card for almost every individual platform that I'm doing. So I can track spending. I can tie them up to projects. It just makes my life easier.
Awesome. That's great to hear. Tucker, thank you so much for jumping on today. It's been a great webinar with Divi. I hope all of you that attended have really learned some ways that you can cost cut in an effective way to get a higher return on your paid media spend. It's really been a pleasure, especially the integration of natural language and looking at Reddit, looking at Insta, looking at social, looking at Quora, the integration of what's naturally happening and not trying to take a square and peg and push it through a round hole. Instead, just like really giving the people what they want, what they're talking about, and things like that. It's just it's what we need from an advertising perspective, right? Especially as all of this third-party data is going to go away. We're going to be looking at more ID-based, more relationship marketing, and it's just a great first impression. So thanks again, Tucker. It's been a pleasure, and thank you to the team at Divvy for putting this together and sponsoring today's SEJ webinar. If you have any further questions for Tucker, please feel free. Is there an email address folks can hit you up at?
Oh, for sure. So you can get me at tucker.stofers@divvypay.com is the official one, or you can go tuckerstofers.com. We'll actually take you right to my LinkedIn profile, and you're welcome to reach out to me, connect with me there as well. So love to connect with you guys and see how we can help each other out.
Perfect. Again, thank you so much, Tucker. Thank you for all of you that have attended today. Just as a reminder, we will be making the video and slides available. And don't forget to click the handouts button on the webinar where you can download 2 PDFs from Divvy. One is a guide on virtual cards, and the second is an ad spend guide. So go ahead and take advantage of that information right now. Our next SEJ webinar will be held on Wednesday, March 8th. Same bat time, same bat channel. We'll have on Wayne Szyszkanski and Jill Perlberg of iQuanti and Northwestern Mutual to discuss how a customer journey influences your content strategy. How'd I do there? Is it pretty good?
I think that was solid. Yeah.
That was solid. So be sure to sign up for our next SEJ webinar on content strategy and the content and the customer journey. Again, Tucker, it's been a pleasure. Thanks for jumping on today. And
likewise, Lauren.
I learned a lot. It was great meeting you. And I thought at first you may have had a virtual background until I started.
No, there's people back here, right?
Why? And then I'm like, are those virtual people walking? Are you in an AI?
That would have been next level impressive.
That would be next level impressive. So again, Tucker, it's been a pleasure. Thank you so much. Thanks for everyone for attending, and see you on the next Search Engine Journal webinar. Bye-bye,
Carol.